Now verse 11. So this is what verse 11 looks like in the NIV. Whether then it is I or they, this is what we preach, and this is what you believed. So after we just went over this verse, because of the grace of God, I am what I am, and this grace has not become, this grace of his, which is directed unto me, has not become futile, but rather I have worked more to the point of exhaustion than them all. Yet not I, but the grace of God that has been and is still with me. And then now verse 11, we have a post-positive therefore. Therefore, this is a positive conclusion. Therefore, eite, and then look, eite. We've encountered this before. Eite, and eite is something like either or here is going to be whether or. Therefore, whether, and then ego, the personal pronoun from which we get the word ego from, whether I, or eite, whether or ekenoi, them. This is the demonstrative of ekenos, which means that one. Hutos means this one. Ekenos means that one. And so this is the demonstrative of ekenos. So, therefore, whether I or them. Hutos, this is the adverb in this manner. But here, okay, because we're talking about the content of message, the gospel, the appearances of the resurrection to all of them. We're talking about content, a message. So hutos becomes this. It is translated correctly right here. Whether then it is I or them, this is what we preach and this is what you believed. So we're going to translate this keirusomen. And this is the present active indicative of keiruso, which means proclaim. This, we proclaim this, connective kai, and then another hutos, this. Yes, it could be in this manner, but we're talking about a content of message, the gospel. So we're going to say this episteusate, and this y'all have believed. So therefore, whether it is I or them, this is what we preach, this is where we continuously preach, and this is what y'all believed. And what is that? That is the gospel message. The death, burial, and resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ, as per verse 3 and 4. Now, we're going to get to a bunch of logical conclusions. He's going to make a lot of assumptions so as to prove his case. Because remember, the Corinthians are still rejecting the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. Oh, they have believed. They are believers. They believe in the crucifixion. But part of their theology, their soteriology, is missing the resurrection. And obviously, if the Lord Jesus Christ did not resurrect, then that means that the cross was not effective. He just died just like any one of us. Now verse 12, it's this. But if it is preached that Christ has been raised from the dead, how can some of you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? Okay, so we're going to go through the Greek because it's a little bit easy, so just so you can see how the Greek is formed. We're going to go over this right now. Okay, so now, transitional, now, Now, the first class condition here, if, and it's true. If Christos, this is the nominative case right here, nominative, which is the subject. And then we look for a verb, and here it is, keirusetai, the present passive indicative, third person singular of keiruso. If Christ is proclaimed, and now we have hoti of content, that we look for the main verb, that what, that, and here we have the verb, perfect passive indicative. Here's egeigertai. This is the perfect passive indicative, third person singular of egeiro. So that he was raised, perfect tense, In the past, the completed action of the resurrection with the results that continue going on forever. The passive voice, the Lord Jesus Christ, here as the nominative, receives the action of the verb. The indicative mood, this is for the reality of the resurrection, but it goes with the assumption. If, and we assume that it's true. If, and we assume that it's true. If Christos is proclaimed, and that the content, that he was raised, ek, this is the ek plus the ablative, the genitive of nekron. Nekros means dead ones in the nominative, but it means kind of like the realm of the dead. That he was raised from the dead, out from the dead, literally out from the dead. We're going to say he has been raised from the dead. So this is what it says literally. If Christ is proclaimed that he was raised from the dead, obviously we're going to make it a little bit more smooth because hoti in the English is going to be like this. But if it is proclaimed that Christ was raised from the dead, and now this is the protasis, now this is the apodosis by way of an interrogation. Pos, the adverb particle, pos, how, and then we look for a nominative. There's no nominative, but here it is implied in the verb legosin. This is the present active indicative of lego, and it's a third person plural. How do they say, or how are they saying? How are they? And then en humin, among y'all. Oh wait, pardon me. Well, let's reverse a little bit. Here is the nominative thines. This is the indefinite pronoun of this, and this means how do some, and then en humin. I knew there was something wrong. Okay, I'm not going to justify myself. How do some amongst y'all, among you? How do some among you? And then legosin, keep on saying, continuously say. This is the continuous present. They keep on saying. Present active indicative. The present tense is continuous. The active voice. It is these, some of them amongst the Corinthians, and obviously it's a significant amount of people because he just dedicated all of chapter 15 to this topic, this subject, and that's this chapter has almost 60 verses. I think that's a hefty chapter. How do some among you keep saying, and what do they say? Hoti of content, that, indirect discourse, that, and then estin, this is present active indicative of I, me, and we're going to translate it impersonally. There is, and then uk, not, that there is no anastasis, from which we get the word Anastasia. Excuse me. This is resurrection. It's a compound word. Ana, up, plus stasis, stand. Upstanding. This means resurrection. Anastasis, and then again, necro, out from the dead. Out from the realm of the dead. So this is a question right here. So Paul is asking, now, if it is proclaimed that Christ was raised from the dead, how do some of y'all keep saying that there is no resurrection from the dead? He's asking them the question. If we're proclaiming this, why are some of you Corinthians saying this? You guys are believers, and why are you denying the resurrection? You believed the message when we proclaimed it to you. And why do you deny the resurrection now? And then now it says, there, contrast, but, and then another first-class condition. We're going to see a bunch of first-class conditions, assuming that it's true from the viewpoint of assumption. If, and let us assume that it's true. But if, and now again, estin, if there is no, uk, again right here, but if there is no anastasis, again, resurrection, and then again the genitive from the dead, genitive of separation, genitive from the dead, the realm of the dead. But if there is no resurrection, from the dead, and we assume that it's true, and now here's the apodosis. Ude, neither. Christos, Christ, this is the nominative, and this is the verb, egeirgertai, and this is the perfect passive indicative third person singular of egeiro again. Neither Christ was raised up. So again, we have, that's the it for the verse. But if there is no resurrection from the dead, neither Christ was raised. Here he's telling the Corinthians that these two, the resurrection of believers is connected with the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. You cannot separate both of them. After all, why did he come and die for the sins of the world? For us to reconcile humanity with God. And part of that package is also the resurrection. He reconciles towards God. We receive a resurrection body as part of our reconciliation so that we can live with him forever in a resurrection body. But these folks are denying the resurrection. And he's saying, if you deny the resurrection, then guess what? Christ was not resurrected either.